along with lecture plan, we have provided previous year questions also on the bottom side. So in the first part, what we'll do is, as yesterday itself, mains examination paper happened, GS3 paper. I would like to, what we can say, elaborate on those questions also, कि किस तरीके से questions आ रहे हैं. So first of all, the lecture plan, you can see in introduction part, just will take overview of what kind of external, internal security challenges that we have. All these aspects we will try to cover today, and we will also start with the first topic relating to terrorism. Okay, so role of external state and non-state actors in creating challenges to the internal security. This is syllabus topic. In this syllabus topic, we are going to discuss different kind of state and non-state, let's say, challenges or actors. So terrorism we'll discuss there. Also insurgency in Northeast India. So these topics we'll try to discuss. Along with that, linkages between development and spread of extremism. Largely we'll discuss here the main topic, that is left-wing extremism, or we will say that Naxalism in India. Okay, so whenever we are discussing all these topics in detail, we are going to discuss about the causes, then the impact or the consequences. At the same time, we have to discuss what are the government measures at present, their effectiveness and the way forward. What further steps are required to deal with these challenges. Now, next part in syllabus is challenges to the internal security through communication networks. And here the subtopic is role of media and social networking sites in internal security challenges and basics of cyber security. Okay, so in one lecture itself, all related to cyber security and social networking sites, how they are proving as a threat for the disturbance, or simply we can say a challenge to our ensuring peace and harmony in the society. So we will discuss that, those challenges. The next topic in the syllabus is money laundering and its prevention. So in that one lecture itself, we will discuss all these organized crimes. Okay, different kind of organized crimes, and one of them is money laundering. So we will try to find out that drug trafficking and other kind of, let's say, organized crimes, what is the machinery in India at present, how these challenges are being dealt. This year itself, yesterday, there was question regarding money laundering. Then security challenges and their management in border areas, linkages of organized crime with terrorism. Okay, so simply we'll try to understand what are the challenges in the border management. Every year UPSC asks such kind of question from this topic. Okay, so we'll discuss these challenges. Along with that, the maritime security aspect also part of border management, we can say. The contemporary aspect, then role of technology in border management, the contemporary aspect, how technology may prove helpful in effective border management. And finally, various security forces and agencies and their mandates. So this is one last topic, and which talks about the security forces, especially Central Armed Police Forces, CAPFs, under Ministry of Home Affairs. Okay, so we'll try to find out their mandate, how they are being used or utilized to ensure or deal with these internal security challenges. Okay, yes. Now we'll try to cover in the 7 or maximum 8 lectures in the coming lectures. Also, the approach here in these lectures we'll try to understand all these topics in the classroom. We are going to provide you elaborated notes directly, because time period is less for this particular module, and the issues that we have to understand are many. So that's why what we'll do in classroom, we'll analyze all these topics, we'll try to understand the causes and all these things, and we are providing you directly the notes, including some contemporary topics there. Okay, look at the questions now. So in the previous year questions from 2013 to yesterday's question paper 2021, we have updated it, and the syllabus topic wise we have segregated these questions. Now you always keep the syllabus and these previous year questions in front of you, and you will find that each and every question that was asked was relating to syllabus, and we will try to cover all these syllabus topics. We will try to address all these questions also. Okay, yes. So left wing extremism, you can see that the last year in 2020 there were such questions related to left wing extremism. Yes, what are the determinants of left wing extremism in the eastern parts of India? What strategy should India, Government of India, civil administration, security forces adopt to counter the threat in the affected areas? Okay, so straightforward question was asked. Last year in foundation batch, when we let's say completed this module, and immediately after that there was mains examination. So we had covered these topics thoroughly, and there was a direct question including this one, then border management. All questions from the internal security were covered in that module itself. So we will also try to cover as much as possible the new aspects also in this module, so that next year, क्योंकि कल मेंस हो गई है तो उसका भी हमें कवर करने को चांस मिल रहा है, right? So we'll update our module here and we'll try to cover the new trends. If suppose let's say like this year, you can see 2021. What was the question? Analyze the complexity and intensity of terrorism, its causes, linkages, obnoxious nexus. Also suggest measures required to be taken to eradicate menace of. So you can see that the causes and way forward. Causes and way forward. Largely in all questions, especially we can say that the internal security challenges that are there. So in this manner we have to understand, like here, causes, linkages and the way forward for the terrorism. So broader level question was. The similar manner you can see here, internal security challenges, broader question, not specific one issue. Analyze the multidimensional challenges posed by external state and non-state actors to the internal security of India. Also discuss measures required to be taken to combat these threats, as if they are directly taking the input from the syllabus topic. External state and non-state actors. Okay, so that is syllabus topic directly. So this is a broader level question, and accordingly we have to address such questions. You can see here now, last year cross-border challenges for effective border area management, discuss the steps required to be taken to deny local support to militants and also suggest ways to manage favorable perception among the locals. Especially this is for Jammu and Kashmir region. Okay, so this is we know that in Jammu and Kashmir region to some extent there is support from the local people to these terrorist organizations or militants, and how to deny that local support. This is what the steps are asked. Okay, so now this is the new trend of asking question from terrorism perspective, you can say. Now you can see here the question on money laundering this year, yesterday. Discuss how emerging technologies and globalization contribute to money laundering. Elaborate measures to tackle the problem of money laundering both at national and international levels. Right? Now, emerging technologies. Why this word used here? Emerging technologies. Anyone?
Bitcoin?
So Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies, basically that particular technology that is creating major hurdle because that is not regulated, right? And whenever it is not regulated, there is scope for let's say simply organized crime activities, or we can say that funding to terrorist organizations, illicit, we can say the activities. So it was expected that you write here such kind of emerging technologies. You can mention about the social media also, because nowadays social media platforms are also being used as a payment apps like WhatsApp, right? So these payment apps or digital technology, this is also part of, we can say, emerging technologies, and that is being exploited. The loopholes in the technologies are exploited. Yes, simply we'll deal with that separately in the money laundering topic, what are the measures and all these things. Okay, that money laundering question can be considered here also, in organized crime also, and here also. Okay. Now cyber security related question, every year UPSC asks cyber security related. अब इससे तो हमें समझ में आ रहा है, देखिए यहाँ पे since 2017 the nature of question also I will say that they are repeating same thing. Okay, in 2017 you see, discuss the potential threats of cyber attack and security framework to prevent it. Okay, look at this 2020 question, discuss the different types of cyber crimes and measures required to fight the menace. Is it repetition of question? Right? Directly same question is being repeated, but you can see that every year from 2017, 18, 19, 20 and 21 cyber security related question is asked. That means we have to prepare it thoroughly, this particular topic. This year they asked, keeping in the views India's internal security, analyze the impact of cross-border cyber attacks. Also discuss defensive measures against such sophisticated. So major steps, this is common for every type of question in internal security. Can you see that? Right. So that means for each and every issue we have to focus on the way forward also. At the same time the causes, at the same time the nature of that particular challenge. Okay, so all these aspects we will cover, but common factor we can see is the way forward is always asked. Okay, so rarely some questions from this social networks sites or the communication, like use of internet and social media by non-state actors for subversive activities is a major concern. Okay, so this was asked in 2016. Right? So such kind of, like, what is the digital signature? Authentication means various built-in features of digital signature. Now this is also part of science and technology. Okay, this is also part of science and technology, but it is also cyber security feature. Digital signature is also cyber security feature, one of the feature. Now you can see that security forces. So what kind of question last year was asked? Analyze the internal security threats and trans-border crimes along the Myanmar, Bangladesh and Pakistan borders, including LOC. Also discuss the role played by various security forces in this regard. So half part border management challenge, half part security forces related. Okay, so but largely you can see only 2 questions are asked. Now AFSPA related question was asked in 2015. This year it is in news. We have seen recently the AFSPA, there is again demand of repeal of AFSPA in Nagaland, right? So yes, next year maybe the question can be asked again from AFSPA, but yes, it is related to again security forces. So human rights abuses by the security forces. Okay, so from various aspects you can see the dimensions from which the questions are being asked in the internal security part, this particular syllabus part of our examination. Okay, and now we understood the syllabus, now we understood the kind of questions that are being asked, and now we will start with our module here. Okay, so in introduction part, first of all, what we are going to learn today. Introduction. So in introduction, what is internal and external security? How it is different from each other? Which, let's say, ministries are responsible for that? Then attributes of internal security. Then which are the challenges? Why these challenges are there? General points we will try to find out that. Okay? Yes. Then we will start with state and non-state actors. We'll give introduction first here. Which are the state and non-state actors responsible for challenges to internal security? First of all, we will cover this. Okay, one more point I wanted to tell here is sources. Of course. So sources, a very important part, obviously. अब इंटरनल सिक्योरिटी का कोई एनसीईआरटी तो है नहीं है, राइट? सो डायरेक्टली वी नीड टू हैव सम रेफरेंस बुक. फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल आई वुड से there is one book, Challenges to Internal Security. McGraw-Hill publication. इसके ऑथर जो अशोक कुमार, IPS. Let me show that. Latest edition looks like this. Okay, Challenges to Internal Security of India. So this is the book, and updated version you should refer to, because this is part of current affairs also. Contemporary developments are important. Then if you are, let's say, having this book, then it is fine. Then there is one more book by Oxford publication. So you have either of this. Either you have this Ashok Kumar book or this Oxford publication book, because around 80% things will be common in between them. Okay, internal security of India and disaster management. Disaster management is common in both also. Okay, so author is Saeed Waqar Raza, IPS again. Okay, so both books are good. You can buy either of them, either one of them. Fine. Then from current affairs, obviously class notes and all these things are also important. So what you can do is, whatever we are learning in the classroom, along with that one reference book. one reference book, one class notes, and let's say current affairs. Right, in current affairs what you can do is, obviously The Hindu is there, that is not problem. ED booklets, we are covering some internal security topics there also in ED, and there is website IDSA. Now I guess name is changed. They have changed the name Manohar Parrikar Institute, IDSA. Okay, so it is a think tank. The experts write articles security related challenges. Largely they have both external security and internal security aspects related articles. So in general you can visit the website if you want to get more idea about or views of the experts from that. But yes, basics you should cover from one reference book. Try to understand in depth from the class notes, ED lectures also, you try to link that with the current affairs. Okay, so in this manner this is sufficient. See, 50 marks questions are being asked for the 50 marks. Right, so 2 10-mark question, 2 15-mark questions. So total 50 marks will be asked in GS3 paper out of 250. Okay, so accordingly we have to restrict our sources also. तो कॉस्ट बेनिफिट एनालिसिस, कितना टाइम हमें देना है, कितने मार्क्स के लिए पढ़ रहे हैं, उसके हिसाब से हमें तैयारी करनी है. And you can see the nature of questions. Largely either they ask directly from syllabus topic, basics about that, or current affairs. There is not much things, let's say, to be analyzed, or the question demand of the question is not being understood. ये problem इस topics में नहीं होता है. ठीक है? Okay. Yes. Now let us start with the introduction part. इंट्रोडक्शन में कुछ टर्मिनोलॉजीज हमें समझनी चाहिए, जैसे कि व्हाट इज इंटरनल एंड एक्सटर्नल सिक्योरिटी. Okay, yes, so internal security is basically when we talk about the threats or challenges from within the borders of country. And here it is basically the external aggression. The challenge here is external aggression from outside boundary. Okay, this is the major difference that we should understand, the internal security and external security aspect. Okay, so one is basically threats and challenges from within the borders of country. Now threats and challenges for what we are talking here? We are talking about ensuring sovereignty, ensuring unity and integrity of the country, ensuring peace and harmony in the country. All these aspects we are talking about security. There is a sense of protectedness. There is no sense of fear among the people, no sense of panic among the people, and the people feel secure in the country. That is what we are talking here, security. We will talk about that, attributes of all this internal security. Fine. So here we are talking about this. Now internal security is the domain of Ministry of Home Affairs, while external security is the domain of Ministry of Defense. This is the technical difference. We should understand that Ministry of Defense solely deals with the external challenges. Ministry of Home Affairs solely responsible for internal security challenges, dealing with internal security challenges. Now, for dealing with this internal security challenges, responsible force, police and CAPFs. And here the responsibility is solely of armed forces. Armed forces, Army, Navy and Air Force. Okay, this is the basic difference we should understand. Very much clear. Internal security, it is Ministry of Home Affairs, and the responsibility lies with various, let's say, police forces and state police force. So central armed police forces, so various CAPFs are there, their mandate and everything we have to learn here. Okay, that CAPFs or Ministry of Home Affairs also includes NSG, SPG and other, we can say, police forces also, like commandos and all these things of CRPF. Okay, so this is the basic understanding of internal and external security. Now in our syllabus, this is there as a part of internal security. Okay, so whenever the question is there in GS3 paper, this will relate to this one. Okay, now many times we learn about the external aggression and all these things. Okay, but that is now we should understand that is part of GS2 paper to some extent. What are the external threats? Like for example, we consider like there are India-Pakistan relations, or let's say India-China relations, or what are the threats in Indian Ocean region, strategic aspects, all these things where we learn in GS2 paper IR section. Though there is some kind of link between IR and internal security, and that's why the terms are always taken, or we can say called together, they are taught also together, internal security and IR, international relations. Why? Because to some extent there are linkages between them. Okay, yes, we will try to understand that part. Now moving on here, now we have understood internal security. So what are the attributes or characteristics of internal security? Manifestations, all these things are there. Yes. So when we say that we feel secure, or let's say the country is secure, so basically there will be some kind of attributes that shows that there is no threat or challenge to the internal security. For example, let's say integrity, sovereignty is upheld. Then there is peace and social harmony. Social harmony includes communal harmony also. Then there is law and order. There is rule of law. Okay, there is no sense of fear in mind of people. These are the important attributes of internal security. Now, when we say that, suppose I'm telling you, for example, suppose what happens, there is some kind of terrorist attack happen in suppose one city. What will happen? That will create some kind of sense of panic and fear among the people. There will be law and order situation, or let's say that may result into law and order situation itself. It is law and order situation. Then there will be threat to peace and harmony. Of course, the integrity is threatened, so because of such kind of attacks. Okay, so in this manner we should understand. Suppose there are, let's say, the communal violence happens. Suppose there is communal violence happen, communal riots happens in a particular area. So obviously there will be lack of, or let's say, law and order situation. Then there will be, we can say, the rule of law problem here. Then peace and harmony will not be there. There it threatens our integrity and unity as a nation. All these aspects. There will be sense of fear, especially among the minority community. Okay, so in this manner we should understand that each and every challenge to internal security has manifestation or some kind of impact on these attributes of internal security. Okay, now after understanding these attributes, let's understand what are the challenges to internal security. In India. Challenges to the internal security in India. Yes, so what are the challenges? Main challenges, important challenges we should write first here. For example, hinterland terrorism. Then you should write about left-wing extremism or Naxalism. Insurgency in northeast states. Then you can say that militancy in Jammu and Kashmir. Militancy in Jammu and Kashmir. Okay, then the other important and we can say important contemporary challenge, cyber attacks, cyber security related challenge. Then you can talk about radicalization. This is also one of the challenge in recent times. You can talk about drug trafficking, human trafficking, arms and counterfeit currency smuggling. Or simply we can say trans-border crimes. Okay, organized crimes or trans-border crimes that happens. This is also one of the challenge. Then yes, communal violence, riots. This is also one of the challenge. Maritime security, and border management. Okay. Anything remaining? Yes. मनी लॉन्ड्रिंग इशू रह गया है. Money laundering. Okay, so basically broad manner, in a broad manner, all these things will cover here. Yes, what will come under radicalization? See, radicalization basically nowadays the social media platforms, digital technology is being used by the terror outfits like ISIS or other terror organization to radicalize youth. Okay, so in India, and this radicalized youth, either they are, let's say, indoctrinated in a such manner that they are carrying out lone wolf attacks, or they are further, asked to join this terrorist organization. For the further training, they can be asked to move towards their bases in Pakistan or let's say other countries. Okay, if suppose Afghanistan, Pakistan or Iraq, so there their training happens, then again these people will come back and carry out certain attacks. So basically radicalization is the step moving towards these organizations. So young people, youth who are, let's say, traumatized because of certain kind of violent situations they have faced in the childhood. Suppose they are, let's say, orphan, or there is no family support, or suppose, let's say, there is, poverty is also one of the major reason or behind all these problems. So that's why the radicalization happens. We'll deal with that. Okay. Now, when we learn about these challenges to the internal security in India, can we immediately talk about the causes behind this and broader level? Okay, so keeping this, all these challenges in the mind, what we'll do here is we'll try to write causes. Broader level, okay. On broader level, we will try to now hinterland terrorism. Hinterland terrorism means, let's say, the kind of terrorism or terrorist activities carried out throughout India, throughout country. That is called as hinterland. It is not, let's say, located in a specific area, or let's say being carried out in a particular area. So that is hinterland terrorism. Now, yes, simply we should write about poverty and unemployment. Second thing we should write about, let's say, unsatisfied. So simply we can say that feeling of injustice among the people, lack of governance, development deficit, then we can say that the notorious neighbor both, let's say, China and Pakistan, right? So that is one of the major reason is state sponsored, external state sponsored terrorism, one of the reason we can say. Then land alienation, one of the reason for, we can say, Naxalism, land alienation, human rights violations, basically the feeling of injustice is created because of this. You can write there. then divisive politics based on religion, caste, region, okay. Now you write about this one also, porous borders for trans-border crimes. Porous borders was one of the reason, and that's why we need some effective border management. Emerging technologies, because of these technologies, basically it has become very easy to carry out any kind of terror attack from the foreign soil itself. Okay, so पहले ऐसा नहीं होता था. पहले क्या होता था, जैसे 2001 का पार्लियामेंट अटैक हो या फिर उससे पहले के जो अटैक हो, सो ऑब्वियसली देयर वाज नो सच टेक्नोलॉजी अवेलेबल विच कुड कनेक्ट all these people, terrorist organizations and their, let's say, those involved in that terrorist organizations in India. However, at present, basically these terrorist organizations are exploiting the fractures in the country, or those people who are very much vulnerable, they are getting employed by these terrorist organizations, they are being trained, the funds are being provided, all these things. Then lack of effective criminal justice system. So one of the reason is that one also. Obviously, even if let's say the terrorist or these persons involved in the crimes, let's say frauds, money laundering, they escape from the legal system, and because of, let's say, poor, weak, we can say, criminal justice system, there is delay of convictions and all these things happens. This does not act as a strong deterrence. Okay, and because of that we can simply say all these problems are resulting. Yes, so specifically for all these challenges in when we are dealing with all these challenges, we will discuss that. Sniper cell, or you meant here sleeper cell? Sniper cell, sleeper cells, yes. So sleeper cells, we'll discuss that in terrorism. आपने हॉलीडे मूवी देखी होगी अक्षय कुमार की, उसमें अक्षय कुमार काफ़ी अच्छे से एक्सप्लेन कर देता है कौन होते हैं वो स्लीपर सेल्स, राइट? Yes, so sleeper cells are basically those people, in general they are living social life, we do not understand them, we are not able to identify them, and they remain dormant unless and until there is, let's say, some kind of order, instructions from the higher level in the hierarchy in that terrorist organization. ठीक है, तो वो जनरल आम आदमी की तरह रहते हैं, आम आदमी तरह वो interact करते हैं, so we are not able to identify them properly, and sleeper cells are generally not used for the immediate attack, rather let's say they are employed in a certain organization to get some information from that organization or just be aware about the developments, तो वो sleeper cell होता है largely. Yes, so
But lack of resources also one of the cause now, sir.
Yes, lack of resources, or we can say that inequitable distribution of resources. Simply we'll say that economic inequality. Economic inequality, poverty, unemployment, and economic inequality. These are the major reasons you can say. See, to some extent, all these challenges basically are resulting into some kind of negative consequences. Okay, so why these people are forced to do such kind of things? Let's say resulting into violence, resulting into some kind of harassment for the innocent people. Okay, so there must be very strong reason. ये समझना चाहिए हमें, ठीक है. बहुत ही पेटी रीजन के लिए कोई भी किसी के साथ वायलेंस या किसी को नॉट इजीली फोर्स टू किल समवन, innocent person, obviously they will not do that unless and until there are some kind of strong reasons, and strong reasons are these reasons. Okay, also you add here the spread of fundamentalism, religious fundamentalism, religious indoctrination of the people, right? So that is also one of the major reason for the spread of these activities. Okay, so yes, obviously these are the basic. Yes, tell me.
Sir, in that spreading of fundamentalism is nothing but doctrine policies now, sir.
Yes, indoctrination of all people in terms of, let's say, taking extreme activities or extreme actions. ठीक है, तो what you can say, simply negative or extreme interpretation of religious scriptures, religious texts or doctrines, and that is resulting into some kind of, let's say, fundamentalist philosophy being spread by some of the organization, religious organizations, or these terrorist organizations also, both in the country, also non-state actors, external non-state actors also. Okay, so the first topic in the syllabus, you can see role of external state and non-state actors in creating challenges to internal security. External state. Yes. So first of all, we'll try to know about who are this external state and non-state actors. Okay. So yes, external state and external non-state actors. Okay, so external state actors means here it is talking about the involvement direct or indirect involvement of government of any other country. Any other country, direct or indirect also. Basically, for example, here the best example is Pakistan. What Pakistan is doing? Pakistan is directly also promoting such kind of, let's say, activities like insurgency in Jammu and Kashmir, or let's say some kind of arms and ammunition smuggling, militancy, that is militants are being smuggled into the country. All these issues are happening in the because of this support by the Pakistan state, or simply we can say that ISI, inter-service intelligence. Inter-service intelligence, this particular body of Pakistan is sponsoring such kind of activities. Basically it is called as, such kind of activities are called as state sponsored terrorism or external state. External state sponsored terrorism. Now, non-state actors. Independent, not directly or indirectly linked to foreign government, any foreign government. So these are independent terrorist organizations. Okay, they can be terrorist organizations, extremist group, or any fundamentalist group. Yes, LTT, one of the example you can give there. Okay, example you can give LTT, right? Now this is external non-state. Okay, if I am removing here, let's say I will write here one of the examples like Lashkar-e-Taiba, then you can give the example of Jaish-e-Mohammed, जो पाकिस्तान बेस्ड टेररिस्ट आउटफिट्स है जिसको हम बोलते हैं, राइट, आईसिस. These are some of the examples. Now when we remove this external, simply we say that non-state actors. Simply we say that non-state actors. That means they are within the country. So within country, they will be called as simply non-state actors. Okay, they will be called as simply non-state actors. So you will give some examples like SIMI, Student Islamic Movement of India. You can give example of Indian Mujahideen. Then you can give example of Naxalism. You can give example of insurgents group in Northeast. They are also non-state. At present, Taliban is, we can say, not recognized by international community, so we will say that it is non-state. Though it has assumed the power in Afghanistan. But it has not formed the final government, right? Interim government form किया है ना उन्होंने अभी, and even the United Nations or any other important country, they have not recognized it. So we will not say that as a state actor up till now. Then once it is recognized, we will say that it is state. Okay, so within country, such kind of organizations are there, non-state actors or non-state, we can say terrorist outfits or those extremist outfits. Now conceptually this is what we are talking. Okay, now there is concept called as state sponsored terrorism. We know that India is a democratic country, and obviously the state will not carry out any kind of violent or we can say that breach a rule of law, constitutional provisions. So obviously in India there is no state sponsored terrorism, but some of the countries where there is dictatorship, where there is anarchy, so obviously there also there will not be any rule of law, and that in that country, such kind of country, there will be state sponsored terrorism. Suppose we are talking about Afghanistan, so even if Taliban is recognized as a government there, so obviously it will promote state sponsored terrorism there. Okay, obviously there will be some kind of fear among the people, no?
That is the main fear of India. But if we are not recognized, they will pull all Talibans to Kashmir region with support of Pakistan.
वो अलग बात है, that is different thing. Basically it will result into some kind of spread of militancy. The reason is because Afghanistan may be used as a for camping this terrorist organization. ठीक है, उनका वो लैंड यूज करते हैं ये टेररिस्ट ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस, और ऑब्वियसली दैट विल बी स्प्रेडिंग फिर इन द नियर बाय रीजन.
But USA has been created Taliban to against of Russia. So that one is one of the state-sponsored terrorist.
Will not say that state sponsored terrorism.
But internally fund has been transferred from the USA country now.
That, see, simply I am telling you, there is no one particular definition of terrorism. That's why widely accepted definition. Why? Because for one country that will be called as terrorism, for other country that will be called as revolutionaries, right? So like for example, if we are talking about simply your example, suppose we are talking here that the Taliban, okay, so Taliban were earlier, they were revolutionaries, right? So suppose they were let's say supported against the government by the US, so some kind of revolutionary activities they were doing. So but obviously that is now resulted into simply we can say that it is going against US itself, its own interest. Okay, leave it aside because it is not the relevant topic. IR के सेक्शन में आप पूछ लेना IR के फैकल्टी को, ठीक है, इन डिटेल वहाँ पे बताया जाएगा. Obviously we have discussed this in ED lectures or somewhere in the current affairs Hindu analysis. Now after understanding these threats, the major challenges are fourfold challenges. Okay, so I will write here hinterland terrorism from state and non-state actors we are talking, the challenges. Then militancy in Jammu and Kashmir, insurgency in northeast and Naxalism or left-wing extremism. बोल सकते हो, ठीक है। चाइना में जो हो रहा है वो वी कैन से दैट yes, state sponsored terrorism kind of thing, because it is being widely criticized, no, for human rights violations against the minorities and all. Okay, so we can say that that is state sponsored. जहाँ पे स्टेट जो है खुद की पावर असर्ट करने के लिए जो है वायलेंस करता है, सम काइंड ऑफ वायलेंस करता है, या फिर जो जहाँ पे एक फियर का माहौल तैयार करता है ना उसको पावरफुल दिखाने के लिए, तो वो स्टेट स्पॉन्सर्ड टेररिज्म होता है। हाँ हाँ, लेफ्ट विंग एक्सट्रीमिज्म, लेफ्ट विंग एक्सट्रीमिज्म। नाउ व्हाट आर दीज टर्मिनोलॉजीज? फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल वी शुड अंडरस्टैंड दैट just now we talked about hinterland terrorism. Hinterland terrorism is basically the kind of terrorism activities that are going on throughout the country or carried out throughout the country and not in specific area. So that combinedly we will deal here the hinterland terrorism, and it is separate from all these three which are specifically in certain area. Like for example, militancy in Jammu and Kashmir, it is specific in Jammu and Kashmir. Here, insurgency in northeast in some of the northeastern states, and here in some of the eastern states of India. Okay, so left wing extremism is the major area, we can say that, red corridor. Now these terminologies, many a times students do not understand what is the difference between insurgency and left wing extremism, or simply terrorism, militancy. What is the difference? Naxalism. Let's understand the difference here. Okay, militancy here I will explain separately here. See, all these three are forms of some kind of terrorism. Okay, and when we say terrorism, there are some unique aspects you should understand. What is called as terrorism? A terrorism or terrorist activity necessarily involves, first thing, use of violence. Use of violence towards innocent people. First thing, unintended people are harmed deliberately. Okay, so deliberate actions होते हैं यहाँ पे. Second, after violence, second aspect you should understand is that the main motive or the objective can be political, or simply we can say that religious or ideological. One of the, we can say, reason, objective. Third thing we should understand here is that a sense of fear, panic, law and order situation. These are essential elements in terrorist activity. Okay, so whenever, suppose let's say a terrorist organization, terrorist activity is being done, so obviously it is resulting into unintended innocent people getting harmed, even killed. Okay, so this is deliberate act of violence. Deliberate act of violence. Objective here to force the government, to force the authority, the coercion that is used here as a violence, as a measure to force to let's say seek any political ends, religious ends, ideological ends. Okay, any kind of thing. And it results into a sense of fear, panic and law and order situation. Okay. Now this is common to all type of terrorist activities, including the forms of terrorist activities like militancy, insurgency, Naxalism. But there is fine difference between these. First of all, militancy. Extremist activities, out of sense of heroic actions in the name of religion, So what happens here in militancy, the activities that are carried out by the militants, basically they are focused more on the heroic activities, individual activities, and basically maximum times it results into death of that person. Okay, and this militancy is let's say promoted in a valley, in Kashmir Valley, by certain terrorist organization in the name of religion. And the stated objective, what is stated objective of these terrorist organization, is to separate Jammu and Kashmir from India and merger of Jammu and Kashmir with the Pakistan. Okay, so these are the stated objectives of maximum number of both terrorist organizations situated in India, also outside, the external non-state actors we can say. Okay, so this is militancy. Now how it is different from insurgency and Naxalism, let me explain that to you. Insurgency. In insurgency, what we observe here is the only difference is that they have certain section of people who are rebelling against the government, and it wants to topple the government, remove the government through rebellion activities, armed struggle. Okay, armed struggle. Now this is common to both insurgency and Naxalism, but the only difference is in insurgency there is support of people to these insurgents. This is not the case with all three. Simply Naxalism or terrorist or militancy. To some extent in militancy sometimes there is support, but in insurgency there is always support of the people. Okay, this is the difference. And here in Naxalism it is using method of, or simply we can say, armed struggle on the Maoist philosophy, communist philosophy, and guerrilla tactics. They use guerrilla warfare. Guerrilla warfare. This is the difference. This is the difference here. Okay, so all of you understood this. The major difference here is in insurgency there is support of people to these insurgents. Basically some of the sections of people, they are not satisfied with the government, its policies, and that's why there is armed rebellion, armed struggle against the government. It is not at all peaceful. Anything among this is not at all peaceful struggle. Try to understand. Violence is common, sense of fear, panic common, or let's say political, religious, ideological common. Okay, so you can see Naxalism, ideological, Maoist ideology. Right, here in insurgency, political, in terrorism or militancy, religious.
Sir, can we identify the first one is the border of any countries, second one is the internal politics, and the third one is the ideological with their own mindset?
No, I will tell you what is the problem. That thing I will tell you. When we will deal with these all topics, briefly I will tell you. Militancy, the origin here, we simply say that in border areas because of history of Jammu and Kashmir. Okay, so history of Jammu Kashmir region, and there is there is no sense of belongingness to any one country among the people, and as the, let's say, state did not have full-fledged annexation to the country, or it had some kind of autonomy, and the kind of, simply we can say, a decisionless indecision state that created problem in that region, and that was exploited by the neighboring state, neighboring country. ये militancy जो है वो external state sponsored terrorism है. Largely it is external state sponsored. Now insurgency in Northeast India is largely a problem of ethnicity. It is problem of ethnicity. In Northeast India there is huge ethnic diversity, and these people are very much concerned about their identity, their culture, their traditions, customs, practices, and they do not want external interference, At the same time, they want all those having common customs, ethnicity into the one political territory. This is what the Naga people, these Naga insurgents, they want here. Greater Nagalim. We learned in recently ED lectures. Right? So, problem, you understood ethnicity. This is the major, we can say. In Naxalism, the major reason is development deficit. The major reason is development deficit and land alienation. Alienation of the people from their motherland. This is exploited for the spread of this Naxalism.
Mainly Naxalism will come only from deprived sections only, sir.
Yes, surely that is common, but you should understand that it is not always. There is something called as right-wing extremism also. Right-wing extremism. What happened in New Zealand? Christchurch attack. Can we call it as the person, was he a deprived person? The attacks that are happening in Paris, France. Okay, so the attacks on the minorities by the Christian people. हो रहे हैं ऐसे भी कुछ attacks. So we will not say that it is always deprived, but yes, largely we will say that because that is one of the major reason. No.
Sir, one more thing, sir. In some of the recent last year cases have been filed, sir. Australian citizens have been killing by the guns of Indian people. Then how we can able to take that one, sir? Extremism or ethnicism, sir?
No, that is also extremism. Even individual acts will be considered as acts of extremism. Try to understand. If the basis to take such actions are, suppose, let's say ideological or some kind of religious aspect, racial aspect, then that is ethnic. Okay. Otherwise, if suppose the thing is, let's say, largely these problems are happening around the world because of racial aspects. Okay, so ethnic aspect is involved there. Right, so that's why we are calling it as right-wing extremism nowadays, and that is to some extent related to racial discrimination or racial superiority. Once again, the assertion of white supremacy that is being done. ये सारी चीजें आएगी उसमें. Insurgency and Naxalism same because both are rebellions and supported by the people. No, in Naxalism there is not always support of people. You should understand this. You should be very much clear about this. Okay, in insurgency there is support of people. In insurgency there is support of people always. But what happens is in Naxalism, these Naxals, they create some kind of fear among the people. If you do not support us, if you tell about us to the police, then these Naxals create violence in the village. Okay, they will kill those people, villagers. ये एक sense of fear create किया गया है.
Especially in tribal zones, so if they get information from tribal people, they
Yes.
will provide everything, sir.
Yes.
They will kill rapidly.
Yes, and obviously what happens is there is no administration, security forces to protect them. That's why obviously their supporters or their security is dependent on the Naxalists there. Obviously they cannot go against Naxalism. That does not mean they support Naxalism. Simply we should understand this. Okay. वो छोड़ दो, ट्राइबल पीपल को उनको खाने पीने का है वो मिल जाए उतना ही काफ़ी है. ऑब्वियसली द मेजर रीज़न देयर इज पावर्टी, लैंड एलिनेशन एंड ऑल दीज थिंग्स. ओके, सो they do not support some kind of Maoist or communist ideology, the people. Okay, are you getting this? समझ में आया ये?
Yes.
Okay. Fine. So now after understanding this, we will talk about hinterland terrorism first. Then one by one, militancy in Jammu and Kashmir, insurgency, Naxalism. Every year, one question will be fixed from 4 of them. Make this very much clear. Okay, one question, there can be 2 questions, but one question at least will be from terrorism or these type of extremist activities. Okay, so hinterland terrorism. Yes. In the hinterland terrorism, what we are going to understand here is some terrorist attacks in the past, terrorist organizations, then here itself we should understand nature of challenge, here causes, we will talk about the issue of funding, causes, then funding, present government response, legal and law enforcement, agencies. For example, here NIA, UPA, okay. Here we will talk about one more problem, radicalization. Radicalization. Here in causes itself we will talk about why it has become very easy to carry out such kind of attacks. Here in nature of challenge you also talk about the different kinds of attacks. Types, okay, like for example lone wolf attack, like cyber attack or lone wolf attack, or simply we can also say that the bomb blast, use of IED, all these aspects are involved there. And the new emerging threats, for example bioterrorism, this is also bioweapons, bioterrorism, also one of the challenge here. Okay, yes. So first of all you should be aware about some past attacks that has happened in the country. Get acquainted with this knowledge because you have to write in your answers also. Okay, which particular organization was involved in carrying out which particular attack, especially the recent ones. Okay, so we'll talk about from 1993 Bombay blasts. Then 2001 Parliament attack. Prominent one we will remember. 2006 Mumbai bomb blasts. In the train, local trains. 2008 26/11 attack. Then the recent ones we can talk about. 2016 Pathankot Air Base. 2016 Army Brigade Headquarters Puri. Then 2019 Pulwama CRPF convoy. Okay. Anything recent? उसके बाद मेजर ऐसा कोई नहीं है, राइट? टेररिस्ट अटैक पुलवामा के बाद में कोविड-19.
Pulwama is a major one. More than 45 people have been died. That is a major one. Remaining only 1 or 2 people only.
Akshardham was in 2001, na? Or 2? I'm not remembering year. Anyone aware about that?
I think 2002.
Yes, sir. 2002 September.
Yes, Akshardham. Okay, so remember these major attacks. Obviously, there were many such attacks like Bodh Gaya bomb blast is there, Pune bakery. There was German bakery bomb blast in Pune. In Hyderabad also several blasts. Bangalore, Delhi. Okay, so minor attacks are there. Malegaon in Maharashtra. Then right-wing extremism, one of the main example you can give there, 2006. And then, yes, the recent ones are these ones, remember that. Now, after knowing about this, in that book itself, the comprehensive exhaustive list is given. Okay, so you can go through that. Now, the terrorist organizations. Why we are learning about them? Because UPSC in 2019 mains examination specifically mentioned one local Jammu and Kashmir based terrorist outfit. So many times we miss out on such terrorist organization or outfits when they are formed, the objective, ideological objectives, all these aspects. Major organizations you should remember. Lashkar-e-Taiba. Okay. Now this particular organization was formed by Hafiz Saeed in 1990. Okay, it is Pakistan based and it has carried out attacks. Which are these attacks? Parliament attack, involved in parliament attack along with Jaish-e-Mohammed. Then 2006 Mumbai blasts, 26/11 attacks, Mumbai attacks. Major role was of this organization. Now it is banned not only in India under UPA but also in other countries like US, UK, and even United Nations has also banned this terrorist organization. Then Jaish-e-Mohammed. Okay, so this is formed in 2000 by, what is his name, Masood Azhar, no? This person, this terrorist actually was released by India as an exchange along with two other terrorists when there was hijack of plane. If you remember, during Atal Bihari Vajpayee government, I guess in 1990 और 2000, जो प्लेन हाईजैक हुआ था, कंधार में लेके गए थे वहाँ पे अफ़गानिस्तान में, और वहाँ पे उन्होंने ये डिमांड किया था.
सर IC-814.
हाँ, यस, IC-814 नेम प्लेन. तो उसके एक्सचेंज में हमने इसको रिलीज किया था एंड ही फॉर्म दैट जैश-ए-मोहम्मद. स्टिल ही इज द हेड. ओके, एंड इन्वॉल्व्ड इन अटैक्स prominently in Jammu and Kashmir region. Okay, it has carried out parliament attack along with Lashkar-e-Taiba. Then Pathankot, Uri attack and Pulwama. Directly involved Jaish-e-Mohammed. Okay, now third one is Hizbul Mujahideen. Pakistan based, all these are external non-state actors. First three, these Hizbul Mujahideen, Jaish-e-Mohammed and Lashkar-e-Taiba. Although we can say that these are having some fronts in India. Hizbul Mujahideen is one of the major, we can say, working in Jammu and Kashmir region, active in Jammu and Kashmir region, Hizbul Mujahideen. And again it is also banned. All these organizations are banned under UPA Act. Schedule 1 of UPA Act mentions which are these banned organizations. Now if we are talking about India, there is Indian Mujahideen, IM, It acts as a front of लश्कर-ए-तैयबा in India, इंडियन मुजाहिदीन. ओके, उसका जो हेड है, इसका नाम है, क्या नाम है, नाम नहीं याद रहते. इट्स ऑल राइट, ठीक है. सो दिस इज ऑल्सो वेरी एक्टिव इन जम्मू एंड कश्मीर. However, it has carried out attacks in other parts of India also. Okay, and it was formed out of ranks of SIMI organization, Student Islamic Movement of India. Okay, Students Islamic Movement of India. So some of the leaders from the SIMI institute organization, they formed this Indian Mujahideen terrorist organization. Again, it is banned. The SIMI, Student Islamic Movement of India, earlier formed in 1970s. Earlier it had reformist, or simply we can say not reformist, revivalist attitude. What is revivalist and reformist? हिस्ट्री में पढ़ा है आपने? यासीन भटकाल जो था वो इंडियन मुजाहिदीन का था क्या, कि सिम्मी का था? सिम्मी का था.
So revivalist means it's a fight with against master. Reformist is a fight with for changing purpose.
See, revivalist means basically जो हमारे old fundamental religious scriptures होते हैं, practices होते हैं, उनको revive करना. Reformist means basically you need to reform according to let's say some kind of liberal values, to moving towards liberal values from the conservationist or conservative values that we have in our religions. तो पढ़ा होगा ना आपने सोशियो रिलीजियस मूवमेंट्स हिस्ट्री में. हाँ, जैसे दयानंद सरस्वती जो है रिवाइवलिस्ट है, या फिर जैसे he was reformist. Rajaram Mohan Rai was reformist. Dayanand Saraswati was revivalist. Okay. या फिर जैसे देवबंद मूवमेंट है, रिवाइवलिस्ट है मुस्लिम रिलीजन में. या फिर yes, revivalists are orthodox. So this is same here. We are talking the Students Islamic Movement of India. Basically they had the motive of bringing Muslim people back to their original practices and reduce the influence of Western values. ये उनका ऑब्जेक्टिव था पहले, but later became extremist. Involved in violent activities. And also they declared their stated objective later as making India as a Muslim country. Okay. This is what their, let's say, objective was there, and again it is banned. It is also banned. Fine. So these are the major, let's say, terrorist organizations. There are many small factions nowadays in recent years, especially in Jammu and Kashmir. Okay. So जमात-ए-इस्लामी, जैसे कि हम जो क्वेश्चन था उसमें ये था, या फिर अभी जो रिसेंटली एक आया है ना, जो सिविलियंस के किलिंग में इन्वॉल्व था। एक फ्रंट था, शायद एलईटी का या जेईएम का फ्रंट बनाया उन्होंने, पी के नाम से। Fine, I will tell you that. Okay, so such small organizations working in Jammu and Kashmir, so they are also becoming strong and carrying out certain terrorist activities in that region. So we should remember their names also. But yes, all India level, these 5 prominent in India. Prominent when we say. Okay, fine. Now let's understand the nature of terrorist activities. Second, especially for radicalization purpose, spread of doctrination, or we can say that use of technology for fund transfers, funding mechanisms, radicalization, spread of propaganda, nowadays this is becoming major problem, use of drones in carrying out these tactics. Let's say hijack of planes, though we can say that this was the tactic used in 1970s, 80s, okay, 90s. जैसे अभी कौन सा मूवी आया था, बेल बॉटम, अक्षय कुमार का, ठीक है, तो उसमें वो जो हाईजैक किया हुआ दिखाया है, राइट, टेररिस्ट ऑर्गेनाइजेशन या टेररिस्ट ने, तो दैट इज ऑल्सो यू नो एक्टिविटी. सो हाईजैकिंग ऑफ प्लेन एंड इन एक्सचेंज ऑफ मनी, terrorists who are arrested, so release of terrorists, release of their leaders, ranks, okay, so such kind of activities are done here through terrorist activities. Then excuse me, bomb blasts, okay. Fine. Now, after understanding the nature of attacks, you know, also understand the places where such kind of attacks are largely happening.
Highly populated and airports, a star hotel, sir.
Political capital. Okay, so be it of country or be it of states, political capital. Then financial capital, Mumbai. Then IT hubs, Bangalore, Hyderabad, Pune. Then religious places, Bodh Gaya, Kedarnath, Akshardham. Okay. Then tourist places, basically these religious places are some of them tourist places also. Yes, generally we will say that places of national importance, but largely in capital, and we can say Mumbai financial capital, IT hubs, where we can say that largely the maximum impact on the state machinery, on the state resources, let's say number of deaths of the people, this is the objective. Okay, so suppose Mumbai is there. Obviously, when there is law and order situation or the kind of panic among the people increases, so that affects economy of the country. If you are talking about the parliament attack, that is threat to sovereignty of the country. That is threat to, we can say that, integrity and sovereignty of the country. So एक होता है ना, एक symbolic attack करते हैं ऐसे, अगर मतलब वो करना है तो. So obviously you should understand the places also, largely where these types of attacks are happening. Now why in Bodh Gaya? Anyone aware about that?
Bodh Gaya is a international tourist corridor, so related to Buddha.
Yes, right. Buddhist, but Buddhism is peace, no? So they promote peace everywhere.
Sir, but it is the international corridor now, sir.
So what?
So if a blasting happens, immediately the image will spoil us, that country.
No, that is fine. That is one of the factor, but that was not major factor. You know what happened there? This attack was carried out by recruiting some of the Rohingyas, some of the Rohingya people. Okay, Rohingya refugees in India, and they were actually radicalized. Obviously, Rohingya people faced a major problem. They faced, the political, what you can say, simply they were thrown out by the country, those people in the country, the government, and this was exploited. Such kind of things are exploited. They are living in severe poverty, hunger, and that's why you should understand. And also the feeling of majority minority discrimination, that was exploited there. And we know that Myanmar is Buddhist country. The state religion there is Buddhism, and that's why, as a symbolic nature, the Buddhist tourist place was attacked. Okay, this was the major reason. When we understood that the Rohingyas were involved, or those were indoctrinated, radicalized by these terrorist outfits. So that was the major reason to attack that place. Okay, yes. So after understanding these, let's say what we will do is the causes, find out the causes. Injustice. Injustice can be of any time, any type, okay. It can be economic or simply we can say social injustice in terms of community, discrimination, religious discrimination is happening, suppose, and because of that, the feeling of injustice can be there. Then, poverty, unemployment. Disorientation among youth. Social media and digital technologies, one of the reason nowadays. And human rights violations, no sense of belongingness, that is, a person largely lived in isolation. Such people are very much vulnerable to get radicalized. Parliament attacked, how did happen, sir, when the security is extremely sophisticated? ठीक है, yes, so security is there, everything is there. There is one web series, Special Ops, KK Menon. So there this parliament attack is explained in true sense, and वो कैसे carry out करते हैं, क्या होता है वगैरह वगैरह. But yes, obviously the parliament attack was a well planned attack, not let's say for 1 year or 2 years. For so many years they were planning such kind of attack, and it is in coordination with 2 such organizations. इसका मतलब समझ सकते हैं कि आप एक कोई ऑर्गेनाइजेशन सिंगल वो कैरी आउट नहीं कर पाए उस टाइम, right? So it needed the help of other organization also. They worked in tandem, and that carried out. Again, you can understand this parliament attack was foiled. ठीक है, अगर ये अटैक एक्चुअल में होता तो it would have been severe loss to the country. ठीक है, तो वो आउटस्कर्ट्स में ही उसको मतलब न्यूट्रलाइज किया गया था. ठीक है, सो obviously there were some kind of security lapses. Yes, so वो security lapses थे ना, obviously उसी की वजह से हुआ है वो. जैसे बीच में एक आया था ना कुछ, तो एक डीजीपी जो थे ना, वन ऑफ द डीजीपी of Punjab, I guess, or some police officer of Punjab who was arrested after Pulwama attacks. Okay, so yes, and it was said that he was involved in the parliament attacks also. He knew about that time also, or he gave some kind of, assisted these terrorists in carrying out that attack. तो कहीं ना कहीं जो है वो इंटरनल नेक्सस होता है, एंड दैट रिजल्ट्स इनटू. दैट्स व्हाई द क्वेश्चन, ये क्वेश्चन क्या था इस साल का क्वेश्चन, ये क्वेश्चन पूछने का तरीका देखो यूपीएससी का क्या है. ये ऑब्नॉक्सियस नेक्सस, यही लिखना था वहां पे, ऑब्नॉक्सियस नेक्सस. ओके, सो ये मतलब सिक्योरिटी फोर्सेस के बीच में से इंफॉर्मेशन लीक होना, पुलिस फोर्सेस में से जो ऑफिसर्स होते हैं दे हेल्प some of the terrorists also in the exchange of money, favor, all these things happens. This is obnoxious nexus. ठीक है, so this is what UPSC is also asking. Otherwise इतना सिक्योरिटी होने के बाद स्कोप नहीं होता है, ठीक है, कैरी आउट करने का. Obviously there is nexus between terrorists and also even businessmen also. In the past there used to be nexus among the Bollywood actors also, ठीक है, तो वो सारी चीज़ें प्रोड्यूसर्स और वो सारी चीज़ें होती थी ना, कहीं ना कहीं वो सारा लिंक्ड है. ओके, ऑब्वियसली उनको फंडिंग कहाँ से हो रहा है, प्रॉब्लम्स यहाँ से शुरू होता है. वी विल टॉक अबाउट दैट. ओके, सो नाउ यू हैव अंडरस्टूड how they are radicalized. Now one of the reason that they are radicalized is this one. Okay, so they live in isolation and they become very much vulnerable. The second is there is some kind of violence in the childhood. Let's say largely this is happening in Jammu and Kashmir. Okay, there is cycle of violence. There is cycle of violence in childhood. They see severe kind of violence. There is some kind of psychological impact on their mind, and that results into again the extremist activities, the use of arms, violence, and that is the what you can say exploited by these terrorist organization further to carry out such attacks. Okay, then one of the other reason to get radicalized is social media and now spread of propaganda, religious indoctrination. It has become very easy, sophisticated tools are available, and therefore, and also it is available throughout the country, not any one place, throughout the country. Okay, and this is what we should understand. Second thing you should understand, these terrorist organizations, they recruit these people specifically from those areas which faces the poverty, unemployment, or some kind of violence happened in that region, some deaths happened in that region. तो वो आइडेंटिफाई करते हैं, वल्नरेबल लोगों को वो प्रोफाइल करते हैं, उसके बाद उनको वो डॉक्ट्रिनेशन में इन्वॉल्व करते हैं. दिस इज वेरी वी कैन से वेल प्लान्ड थिंग, एंड दैट्स व्हाई वी शुड अंडरस्टैंड द रोल प्लेड बाय टेक्नोलॉजी हियर इज ऑल्सो मेजर. Okay, and then the social aspects like communal discrimination is happening, then human rights violations of the minority community, so that is also, no, there is no sense of orientation, or let's say among the youth. So youth are not appropriately guided by the leaders of the country, and there is sense of disorientation.
So recently in Mumbai, bully case of app is there now, sir. Presently, one app is going to be controversial now, sir.
Oh, that is different thing. That is not related to religion, but yes, obviously that is that is not related to terrorism, but that is related to religion.
It's a
Yes.
unguided youth now, sir.
Yes. That is obviously we can say that illegal. Also, we can say that affects the dignity and respect of the women, hurt the feeling of certain religion, and obviously उसके अगेंस्ट तो वो एक्शन हो रहा है, obviously उनको अरेस्ट हुआ है, and you can see that who are the perpetrators? Engineering students,
Yes, sir. Those are the
IT professionals.
highly expert in software.
Yes, so that means basically there is disorientation among the youth. Okay, so what youth see that let's say a particular instance, a particular thing makes impact on the youth, and the youth thinks that that is the world, that is the reality. For example, suppose the leaders of the country, they start talking about let's say a particular religion is the problem, then the youth start thinking like that. If youth see in the news or in everywhere that the government is corrupt, then the youth does not believe in the government or law enforcement. Okay, and then it starts to break the law. Okay, and this is start of you can say moving towards such kind of violent activities.
Sir, one more thing, sir. Yesterday has been occurred. One of the malpractice posters has been uploaded, sir, related to Punjab people.
Kya? What?
Related to Punjab people, one poster has been uploaded due to marking of the meeting. That some of the people are eliminating from the hierarchies of some government officers like that. It is also going to be using of digital platform as a wrong way, sir.
Yes. We'll talk about that in social media and these platforms. Okay, how this technology, like sophisticated technologies like artificial intelligence and let's say automation or simply machine learning, they are creating problems. Okay, the morphing of videos, एक कहीं का ऑडियो उठा देने का, वीडियो कोई और ही है, वो पर्सन कुछ और ही बात कर रहा है और उसका ऑडियो कुछ और ही है. सो जो मुजफ्फरनगर वायलेंस हुआ था या फिर उसका जो वीडियो स्प्रेड हो रहा था सोशल मीडिया पे, ऐसे बहुत सारे मॉर्फ वीडियोस होते हैं, डीप फेक्स जिसको बोलते हैं हम. Yes, law and order situation it creates. Obviously, it results into some kind of violent situation, and it may result into a law and order situation. Okay, so these are actually wrongful uses of technology. We'll deal with that in the cyber security aspect. Okay, so these are the major causes. At the same time, you should understand the support by external state and non-state actors, है ना? One of the main reason is this one also. Yes, so yes, obviously money, choosing money, or simply we can say that they do not have right kind of attitude and they use their skills for self-interest, for destructive purpose, for materialistic gain, some kind of hedonistic pleasure, right? And that results into loss to the other people or in general society. Support by external state and non-state actors, for example here in this case Pakistan, ISI, or non-state actors like all these terrorist organizations, how they support funds, arms and ammunition, infiltration, all these activities results into आजकल जो आया है नया क्रॉस बॉर्डर ड्रोन अटैक्स हो रहा है, ये क्रॉस बॉर्डर ड्रोन अटैक्स. Yes, we can consider China also, but we will talk about that in Naxalism and Northeast insurgency. We will talk about that there. Okay, then yes, you mention here porous borders also one of the reason. Open border with Nepal, one of the reason. So effective border management, lack of effective border management also one of the reason. तो इतने सारे रीजन मिल गए आपको, तो वो क्वेश्चन में क्या पूछा है? What was asked in this year question? Analyze the complexity, intensity of the terrorism, its causes. तो ऐसा आप ड्रॉ कर दीजिए, मेन इंपॉर्टेंट 7-8 आप वहाँ पे दिखा दीजिए उसको, ये सारे कॉजेस जो है वो 15 मार्क क्वेश्चन है, राइट. देन लिंकेजेस, ऑब्नॉक्शियस नेक्सस, बेसिकली लिंकेजेस विथ एक्सटर्नल स्टेट एंड नॉन स्टेट एक्टर्स, यही तो बताना था आपको. लिंकेजेस क्या बताना है उसको? टेररिज्म एक्टिविटीज के, टेररिज्म के लिंकेजेस बताने हैं. So it is linked with the external state and non-state actors. It is linked with the religious fundamentalism and the fundamentalist organization. It is linked with certain kind of organized crimes. Okay, then you mention the nexus, obnoxious nexus. So how this nexus works here? Funding activities, you should be aware about the funding activities now. वहाँ पे nexus आता है. Which are the sources of funding? Foreign funds from religious organizations, from Gulf countries. In the name of religion, many such, let's say, civil society organization or religious organizations, NGOs, they are working, and we even do not know, many of them are fake organizations, institutes, fake accounts use करके वो funds, organized crime. अब इसी में सारा लिख दो, ठीक है. मनी लॉन्ड्रिंग, हवाला, then drugs, one of the major source, drug smuggling, then illegal wildlife trade, one of the major source for terrorist activities. Human trafficking, counterfeit currency, counterfeit currency. Okay, now you understand here that the nexus or the linkages with organized crime. So you write here drug smuggling, wildlife trade, illegal wildlife trade, like poaching activities happens, tuskers, illegal trade in the exotic species, होता है ना ये, तो ये सारी चीजें लिखनी चाहिए. Yes, nowadays emerging technologies, you mention about bitcoins and other cryptocurrencies. Bitcoins and cryptocurrencies. ठीक है, तो मनी लॉन्ड्रिंग, मनी लॉन्ड्रिंग क्या है, कहाँ से आता है? ये बिजनेसमैन है ना, पॉलिटिशियन बिजनेसमैन नेक्सस है ना, तो ब्लैक मनी वाइट करने के लिए मनी लॉन्ड्रिंग किया जाता है. और वो जो उसमें जो मतलब कट होता है, सो सम ऑफ द पार्ट इज फंडेड टू द टेररिस्ट, ये सारे जो चीज़ें हैं वो नेक्सस है उसका. लिंकेजेस है सारे. Okay, yes, kidnapping, ransom activities you mention in human trafficking and all these things. Okay, अंडरस्टूड. तो एक क्वेश्चन जो कल पूछा था उसका आंसर आपको मिल गया है यहाँ पे, मतलब हाफ पार्ट का. वे फॉरवर्ड तो लिखना है हमें. यस.
Sir, what is that word, sir? That one left side one. Example, Pakistan is there, no, sir. ISI.
हाँ, पाकिस्तान ISI.
The downward, sir. Downward last one is the drone attack approved, sir.
हाँ, क्रॉस बॉर्डर ड्रोन अटैक्स.
Okay, sir.
क्रॉस बॉर्डर ड्रोन अटैक. सो मतलब बॉर्डर के उस साइड से वो ड्रोन को मैन्यूवर कर रहे हैं. दे आर मैन्यूवरिंग दोज ड्रोन्स बियॉन्ड दैट बॉर्डर. लेट्स से बीइंग देयर इन देयर ओन कंट्री दे आर मैन्यूवरिंग दिस. ठीक है. वन मोर थिंग आई वॉन्टेड टू मेंशन हियर, नेचर ऑफ अटैक्स में आप यहाँ पे और एक डालिए. ये हाईजैक ऑफ प्लेस, ये जो है आज ये अटैक किस पे कर रहे हैं, क्रिटिकल एस्टेब्लिशमेंट्स, फॉर एग्जांपल न्यूक्लियर प्लांट्स, स्टॉक एक्सचेंज, और सच काइंड ऑफ क्रिटिकल एस्टेब्लिशमेंट्स आर देयर नो. तो उसके यहाँ पे वो या फिर हमारे इकोनॉमी के लिए इम्पोर्टेंट होते हैं. दे वांट टू डिसरप्ट द इकोनॉमी, सो देयर कैन बी साइबर अटैक ऑल्सो. ठीक है. तो यहाँ पे साइबर टेररिज्म, जैसे हमने बायो टेररिज्म वन ऑफ द लिखा है, तो वो साइबर टेररिज्म you can mention. Nowadays it is being discussed that even COVID-19 or such kind of virus, spread of virus, pandemics, it also threatens national security. We'll discuss that separately. Yes, R&D institutions, critical establishment, like for example you mention here the armed forces bases. तो ऑब्वियसली बेसेस जो होते हैं वहाँ पे प्रिपेयर्ड नहीं रहता है फोर्सेस. वहाँ पे एम्यूनेशन और सारी चीज़ें होती है. जैसे एयरफोर्स का जो पठानकोट का बेस है वहाँ पे एम्यूनेशन रखा था सारा, तो एम्यूनेशन को ही डिस्ट्रॉय करना का उनका इंटेंशन था. ठीक है. दिस इज हाउ द नेचर ऑफ एक्टिविटीज और अटैक्स दैट हैपन्स हियर. ठीक है. आपको पता होना चाहिए डिफरेंट टाइप्स ऑफ अटैक्स. ओके, डैम्स पे भी अटैक हो सकता है. ठीक है. फाइन. सो आफ्टर अंडरस्टैंडिंग दिस फंडिंग एस्पेक्ट, व्हाट वी विल डिस्कस हियर, consequences. Impact. Obviously we know about this. It creates law and order situation. Death of people, sense of fear and panic, insecurity, disruption in economy, then
damaging the infrastructure, master. Infrastructure.
Loss to property, लॉस टू लाइफ, लॉस टू प्रॉपर्टी, दोनों लिखना है. यस, impact on unity, integrity, sovereignty. जो पहले हमने लिखा था ना एट्रीब्यूट्स में, वॉट एवर वी हैव रिटन इन द एट्रीब्यूट्स, सोशल disharmony,
Sir, one more thing, sir. Spoiling of international image also.
sorry,
Destroy the international image of the country.
yes, you can mention that. ये ऐसे पॉइंट एंड में लिखने के बाद, ठीक है, राइट इन द एंड. जैसे इंडिया का रैंकिंग कुछ आया था ना, उसमें सिक्योरिटी इंडेक्स कुछ तो आया था, उसमें काफ़ी ऊपर था रैंक, बिकॉज ऑफ लेट्स से वायलेंट एक्टिविटीज, टेररिस्ट एक्टिविटीज एंड ऑल. वल्नरेबिलिटी इंडेक्स और समथिंग लाइक दैट, वल्नरेबिलिटी इंडेक्स सम कुछ था. नेगेटिव इम्पैक्ट ऑन बायोडाइवर्सिटी, हाउ यू आर सेइंग बायो टेररिज्म, बायो वेपन्स.
एफडीआई को क्या कर सकता है?
किस पे?
एफडीआई.
एफपीआई,
एफडीआई.
हाँ वो बोल सकते हो आप. वन ऑफ द, ये बोल सकते हो कि इट अफेक्ट्स बिजनेस सेंटिमेंट्स, affect foreign investment, because the country is not suitable for the investment as there is no stability. It shows that the country is not stable, okay, or the government is not able to ensure the law and order situation, rule of law in the country, okay. In general, in society, it promotes feeling of enmity. It promotes feeling of enmity. Violence begets the violence. Obviously, जो गांधी जी ने बोला था, obviously that is the effect. An eye for eye makes whole world blind. So yes, टूरिज्म, यस टूरिज्म पे अफेक्ट करता है, ज़रूर अफेक्ट करता है. यहाँ पे आप लिखिए वो डिसरप्शन इन इकोनॉमी, फॉर एग्जांपल टूरिज्म, एग्जांपल लिखिए. इसका बेस्ट एग्जांपल क्या है? जो 2019 में श्रीलंका में जो ईस्टर बॉम्ब ब्लास्ट हुए थे, उसके बाद उनके टूरिज्म पे बहुत ज़्यादा इम्पैक्ट हुआ था, बिकॉज अराउंड थर्ड ऑफ द रेवेन्यू और लेट्स से जीडीपी ऑफ द कंट्री इज डिपेंडेंट ऑन टूरिस्ट एक्टिविटीज़. तो फॉरेन टूरिस्ट आते हैं, तो ऑब्वियसली ऐसा टेररिस्ट अटैक होने के बाद वहाँ पे टूरिस्ट लोग जा नहीं रहे, तो ऑब्वियसली इकोनॉमी पे इम्पैक्ट गिरता है. ठीक है, सो यस. क्या क्या? यस, व्हाट यू आर सेइंग? हाँ, Pakistan Cricket Board is also facing economic problems. Yes, one of the example you can take that also. Obviously, countries are not going to Pakistan.
Recently, Australia has been vacated at the matches.
New Zealand.
हाँ सर.
ऑस्ट्रेलिया नहीं, न्यूजीलैंड नहीं गया था. ठीक है, ओके. सो दैट्स वाई पाकिस्तान टीम गोज टू अदर कंट्रीज, उनके लिए भी सेफ हो जाता है. ठीक है, ओके. चलो फिर आज के लिए इतना काफ़ी है. एनी क्वेश्चन फ्रॉम योर साइड? कल हम सारा जो लॉज एंड मशीनरीज के बारे में बात करते हैं, वे फॉरवर्ड, एंड देन विल स्टार्ट विद द नॉर्थ ईस्टर्न इंसर्जेंसी ऑल्सो. ओके
Sir, reference book is the only megahertz book is there, sir.
हाँ, मैक्रो हिल, दैट इज गुड बुक एक्चुअली, छोटा सा है.
Okay.
हाँ, आपको नोट्स मिल रहा है, ठीक है. आपको वो नोट्स में भी काफ़ी चीज़ें मैक्सिमम कवर हो गई होगी, इंक्लूडिंग करंट अफेयर्स जो है वो लास्ट 1 ईयर का. ठीक है, वो इस वीक में आपको मिल जाएगा. शायद पुराना वाला दिया है क्या आपको? कोई नोट्स दिया है आपको इंटरनल सिक्योरिटी का?
On disaster and internal security, what booklet has been printed?
Printed is given. New notes you will receive. Okay, you will get new notes. Okay, they are getting formatted. वो हो रहा है, वो मिल जाएगा इसी वीक में आपको. हाँ, सफिशिएंट. हम देखो कैसा होता है ना कि नोट्स में ना लिंक नहीं होता है, कंटिन्यूटी नहीं होता है. नोट्स होता है ना. इफ़ यू आर अटेंडिंग द क्लास एंड देन रेफरिंग टू नोट्स, दैट इज गुड, दैट इज फाइन, कि आपको इश्यू समझ में आ रहा है एंड देन एवरीथिंग इज फाइन. बट कभी कभी क्या होता है कि क्लास में 100% कवर नहीं होता है. आई एम वेरी फ्रैंक अबाउट दैट. दैट्स व्हाई आई ऑलवेज से कि हर एक सब्जेक्ट का एक बुक रखिए, और उस बुक को आप उस सब्जेक्ट का बाइबल रखिए कि वो मेन है, और उसके बाद में क्लास में जो पढ़ाया जा रहा है वो, और यस करंट अफेयर्स तो है ही ऑब्वियसली उसके साथ में. ठीक है, तो मैं कभी नहीं बोलता हूँ कि फैकल्टी या क्लास पे ट्रस्ट करो, भले ही मैं क्लास में पढ़ा रहा हूँ. ठीक है, हाँ ज़रूर मैं बोलूँगा कि जब हमारे नोट्स जो होंगे वो फुल प्रूफ होंगे तो मैं ज़रूर बोलूँगा कि हमारे ही नोट्स पढ़ो सिर्फ. जैसे मैंने एनवायरनमेंट के लिए आपको सजेस्ट किया था, दूसरा जो है ऑब्वियसली. यस, सो एनीथिंग एल्स?
No, sir.
एनवायरनमेंट और ज्योग्राफी रिलेवेंट लगा कि नहीं? कुछ पेपर देखा कि नहीं?
Sir, quite similar, sir.
Yes, sir.
2 क्वेश्चन तो COP 26 से ही पूछ लिए, जो हमने क्लास में द हिंदू एनालिसिस में और ED में कवर किया था, राइट. उसके बाद में एक क्वेश्चन जो है वो WHO जो पूछा था ना, पोल्यूशन रैंक, वी हैड कवर्ड इन द हिंदू एनालिसिस. दैट्स व्हाई आई से कि द हिंदू एनालिसिस करना चाहिए, एटलीस्ट न्यूज़पेपर आपने पढ़ना चाहिए, हिंदू जो है वो. ठीक है, वो कहीं और कवर नहीं हुआ होगा जनरली. ठीक है, और उन्होंने वो कंपैरिजन पूछा 2005 के साथ में, वहाँ पे एक टेबल दिया था हिंदू में, उसी आर्टिकल में, वो हमने कवर किया था क्लासरूम में कि वो कंपैरेटिवली कैसे अपडेट किया है. ठीक है, सो यस ऑब्वियसली ऐसे क्वेश्चन UPSC पूछ रहा है तो कहीं ना कहीं वी आर डूइंग रिलेवेंट थिंग, सो दैट बूस्ट आवर कॉन्फिडेंस ऑल्सो टू गाइड यू पीपल. ठीक है, तो वो ध्यान रखिए. ऑब्वियसली ज्योग्राफी के क्वेश्चन थोड़े से अप्लाइड थे, उतना तो हमें समझना चाहिए कि जो माउंटेन रेंजेस है वो किस तरीके से है और उसका क्लाइमेट पे क्या इम्पैक्ट गिरता है. सो वी टॉक्ड अबाउट हाउ हिमालयज अफेक्ट इंडियाज क्लाइमेट, हमने क्लास में पढ़ा है वो, हाउ इट एक्ट्स एज अ क्लाइमेट डिवाइड. हमने लोकल विंड्स में चिनुक पढ़ा है कि रॉकीज में वो चिनुक विंड्स कैसे वो स्नो ईटर बन जाती है. वैसे ही फोन विंड हमने एल्प्स में पढ़ी थी, वहाँ पे कैसे वो फेवरेबल वेदर क्रिएट करता है स्विट्जरलैंड में. सारी चीज़ें पढ़ी है हमने. वेस्टर्न घाट्स लिखिए, हाउ इट एक्ट्स एज अ बैरियर, वहाँ पे कैसे वो रेन शैडो इफेक्ट तैयार करता है, वो क्लाइमेट पे इम्पैक्ट कर रहा है. ठीक है, तो ये हमने पढ़ा है, आपको वहाँ पे याद आना चाहिए कि ये एग्जाम्पल्स कैसे लिखने हैं.
Last 2-3 days has been Western Ghats disturbance on plane only.
हाँ, वेस्टर्न, ये तो बहुत ही सिंपल क्वेश्चन था, हमने NCERT में भी है और क्लास में भी पढ़ाया है क्लास में. लैंडस्लाइड वाला,
Yes, sir.
हाउ इट इज डिफरेंट, ठीक है 5 टाइम्स हाँ, तो ऑब्वियसली यस, हाँ वोल्केनिक इरप्शन जो था वो स्पेसिफिक था, ठीक है, कि वो पिछले 1 साल में कहाँ का वोल्केनिक इरप्शन हुए हैं वो आपको करंट अफेयर्स से करना था, ठीक है, बट मैंने ये बताया था कि वो इम्पैक्ट कैसे करता है क्लाइमेट पे, वेदर पे, ठीक है, यानी कि जो और एक था क्वेश्चन ऑब्वियसली जो अर्बन वाटर बॉडीज का था, तो वो किससे रिलेटेड था, अर्बन वाटर बॉडीज हमने वो भी डिस्कस किया है जब हम अर्बन फ्लड्स की बात करते हैं, या ऐसे बताया था मैंने वो हैदराबाद वाला वगैरह।
Sir, recently, Tamil Nadu government has issued more than nearly 500 crores only for avoiding the future floods. Last week they sanctioned money for only for urban floods, avoiding development.
No, we talked about wetlands. Urban water bodies, we are talking about wetlands. How these wetlands are being encroached for the construction activities, वही तो पूछा था।
Yes, sir. Hyderabad almost.
हैदराबाद, चेन्नई, पुणे, ऑल दिस सिटीज, मुंबई, वो एनक्रोच कर चुका है सभी इस पे, ठीक है, अर्बन वाटर बॉडीज, एंड वहाँ पे रिवर भी लिखना था और वेटलैंड्स भी लिखना था, ठीक है।